Hi, welcome back at the Just Sawdust workshop. No, this video is not about making floating shelves. That's done before. And I've got to solve a little problem that I think I'll just videotape and share it with you. I used to have my router table in here, and that didn't work anymore after a few years. The sliders were bad and everything, so when I had to put this thickness planer underneath here, I didn't have room anymore, so I took it out. But now I'm missing it, and I don't need anything with a with a fence. I just use the routers with the bearings on, and just to make any profiles or but putting it in a router upside down in the vise, and that's not really handy and secure, so I'm just going to try to make a little router plate inside my normal workbench. There's already 2 table saws in there and other things, so I'll just see if I can find another spot to put it in. Now here on the table is a little hole from an experiment from a few years ago with like a saw coming out here, but that didn't work. The grooves of my other homemade table saw are in here, so when I use this hole to put a router in, I can even maybe use like a sled or something in these grooves whenever I have to do something. So I guess I'm just going to try to make a little plate in here with the router underneath it. Just very simple, but at least then I've got myself a steady base to route anything I want. So as for my router, I've got an old Alu router, which I guess is 20 years old or even older, but I think this one will work. I had a little Kinzo in my other router table, which still works fine, but then I have to make a whole system to adjust the height, and this one has a stop in it, so the depth stop, which is functioning, but inside this depth stop is a M6 thread, so I can use an M6 bolt in here and then have some adjustment for the height. So I'm going to try to incorporate this, and maybe I have to put some strange things in it, but it's just there's no plan, it's just a matter of trying it out and see where it works. Now the plate needs to be rather wide because I want to be able to put the whole thing just through the hole, and I can't get off these knobs because that would ruin the whole router. So I'm just going to see. So this has like enough room here, and this one could just be 2 centimeters shorter, so I can still drop it into the hole I'm going to make into the workbench. Now, because there is a table saw underneath here, this is already an existing hole. I can't go any further that way because there's something underneath here, and the table saw is coming all the way up until here. So I've got to be as far out as I can be, so the router needs to be here. So that's the first part in. This dust extraction actually works, so it's a good thing to put this in and put the vacuum on it, because it works. So, but now we've got to route out a bit more and then go all the way through. That seems to go well. There's a hole, not really straight, but we'll sort that out later. So now it fits, but I could reach it here to, to change the height. I could even take the whole thing out and adjust it and then put it back in, and then. But I think there's a way of having a kind of router lift without getting everything complicated by using that, that stop that's in there. So, but there's gonna be a little hole somewhere. Let's figure that out. I don't know whether it's pure luck or just good measurement, but I'm exactly in the middle. Now that is quite close, so well, let's see what happens. So it does actually work. The only thing is that I don't have a M6 insert bolt or whatever, you know, that could go in there that's long enough. So I'm trying this with a small one. If, you know, if I turn too far it drops down. But yeah, it actually works. So I'm gonna make a little chamfer, I think you call it, in here. And maybe the fact that this screw is overlapping isn't even too bad, because if it rests on that screw, not only on the HDF but also on the bolt itself. So maybe that's a good solution. But it would be nice to have like one for an Allen key. Would be easier than with a screwdriver, but it works, so why should I make it more complicated than it is? I've got a router that is adjustable as you are turning the screw. Now to change the router bits, it doesn't come up high enough to change it. Well, it never did, it was always, but then I'll just take it out and put another router bit on. But most of the times there's a router bit with a bearing, a flush bit with a bearing on it. Can just drop down, and every time I have to use it I just turn the screw up and put it at the right height. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now with this router there was also this thing, that a fence, and the nice thing about this fence is that it is micro adjustable. So you just loosen this one and you can actually micro adjust this whole fence by the millimeter. So I thought, why not put this on a block and clamp it on here close to the router. So I do have a fence. So for a temporary setup this is pretty good. I can even make a better fence on this. This is just a few plastic caps, and now it's still a bit, you know, well, it isn't even moving. So yeah, this could be the setup I'm going to use forever. Now the table, I can't move the table because the wheels broke. That's because I put so many tools in the table that eventually the weight became too much, and so I've got to have bigger wheels on it. But if I got bigger wheels, I can move the table that way, put the fence on this side, and I actually have a normal router table. I can just, you know, but for now this will work. The good thing is that if I clamp it like that, I already have this distance. So, and if I want to move them further back, I just have to loosen these screws and put it back. Oh, and these are, I can still put screws in, or bolts in there to give it even more pressure. Now just for the sake of demonstrating it, I've put a short little bolt in here, so it gets up to a certain point. So there's the router, and I can't put it up any, well, I can put it up far enough. I've got about 3.5 centimeters. I can't go any further, so it won't come high enough. But as soon as I've got a bigger bolt in here, then that will be okay. And yeah, this actually works. It's completely flat, so that would work. Just for demonstration purposes, let's do this without the dust extractor under here and one with. But I've got to plug in, so I've got to make a switch somewhere also here so I can put it on and off, but for now it's going to be the plug. A bit of a strange situation, but I'm going to do it. But as you can see, the fence is not straight. But at least you know what I mean. Well, I had to put it off. This fence isn't straight at all, so I'm going to take these caps off and make a nice board on it so I can. This is actually going well everywhere. So, but just, you know, it works. And now we've got that amount of sawdust, so let's take that away. And then see what it does when we put this vacuum cleaner in here. I don't have a clue whether it works or not, but we'll try. Now I have to put a lot of things on, so let's see. As for dust, that doesn't really make a lot of difference. It is sucking up some, but when it was upside down it worked fine, but now it's not that great. But who cares, you know, we can always make a dust collection on top of this construction. For now I'm happy that I've got a router again in my table so I can make some profiles and things like that. So that's it for this week. Just a simple setup with an old router and the fence that just happened to be with it. So that's it for this week. Next week is going to be some special video, but you will find out. Do some woodworking, it's a nice way to spend your time. Do some recycling, it's an even better way to spend your time. And I'll see you all in the next video. Hasta luego. But wait, because after I finished the video, I found a bolt that's 100mm long, and now it actually works fine.